financial institutions discuss Web3 versus Web2. Jan Birzazek from Crypto Finance, Pınar Emirdağ from Hypomon Ventures, and Renat Lokomet of Venture Faculty are joining us as panelists. Mustafa Baltacı from Coop Ventures is moderating the panel. We would like to welcome our panelists and our moderator. Please join me in welcoming our moderator and panelists.
Thank you.
Mustafa, I think he's coming.
Yes, Mr. Mustafa
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank
there
you
he
very
is.
much.
Yeah,
we have one panelist missing.
No.
No, my
Finally. All right. Okay. Okay. That's good. That's good. You need to go out there and get your, mic.
We'll wait for you.
Get up.
Just up there.
Okay. So, Renat, I think we need to swap the places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Sorry about that.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So this is how the financial institutions work.
Yeah.
Right? So let us give it a start because we are running against the time and we have already this countdown. I guess since we have this background, all of us, including Jan, with the corporate services, with this financial services industry, meaning that we have this sort of understanding of the structured services in a way. So let's try to make the best out of that, because the panel discussion is about how should we understand and embrace this new challenge in a way, as well as the opportunity between this new world and the old world, right? By old world, I mean it's not that old, of course, but the conventional understanding of financial services. And we have three very distinguished, executives, professionals, experts on their particular areas. So I'd like to sort of give them the opportunity to introduce themselves very quickly. Let's start with you, Renat.
Hi. So it will be a very interesting discussion because I am for many years, beginning after graduating from university, were in the world of banking and traditional financing. And last 10 years I'm dealing with everything between traditional financing and crypto blockchain and the future of payments and technology. I'm more concentrating currently on the venture capital side to make an investment in the new promising startups, but also moving forward some technology what I like and believe what they can change the future. We will share ideas now how it will change it, or we will do it a little bit, give opportunity.
Let's move on with Pınar.
Sure. So I think I'm a market structure geek. This is what I'm beginning to believe these days. So I had a number of things, careers where the commonality was how do you take technology and create new business opportunities with these new technologies. So I did a lot of work in the electronic trading space in the earlier days of like algorithms and new marketplaces and new market structures and so forth. And then I got interested in all of these Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain, new contracts, many things that people are talking about around tokenization, even though we didn't quite call it back then, like about probably over 10 years now. And the reason I am interested in that is because I see this as an opportunity to rethink the future and market structure in the financial services with technology, which means completely new business opportunities, completely new products and services. So that's kind of the commonality. I sometimes work in what's called kind of the traditional firms, and sometimes if I feel like the change is too big to really try to push through in a traditional firm, I find myself outside where I try to create new companies and businesses and try to be an entrepreneur. So that's kind of the story, somewhere in between old, new, even though it's, I think, one word, really.
Yeah, a bit similar to Pinar. I used to work at UBS on the asset management investment banking side back in 2015-16, and then I looked into this new technology, and I wanted to do we did actually some projects within UBS at that time, but the bank didn't want to move on, so I decided to resign and build Crypto Finance, which is now it belongs to Deutsche Börse Group, one of the largest financial infrastructure providers in Europe. And we're providing brokerage. We have an MTF, crypto exchange now as part of the stock exchange of Deutsche Börse. We are working with Clearstream for the custody, and Durex and 360T on the FX side. So it's really it's super difficult to change the financial institutions from the inside. So that's why I decided, okay, we need to build a solution that financial institutions know from the traditional side, from equities, bonds, FX, and apply it to crypto as well. Because I think it's easier to do it that way than when you try to educate and get all the approvals internally first. So yeah, I'm doing that now for over 6-7 years. Yeah.
Wonderful. So I guess we can just start by defining the very concept of financial institutions, right? So sometimes it gets blurry, I mean, the boundaries and everything, which is understandable because the worlds, I mean, in the world of finance, things are basically converging and things are getting more and more intertwined. This is what we see. And I guess speaking of Deutsche Börse, since you're affiliated with that, and I know you from London Stock Exchange when I was with Istanbul Stock Exchange quite then. So I think the financial institutions do not only relate to banking, right? There is this sort of, I would say, misconception in a way. Even the insurance companies in a way, right? And in some of the countries in the West, including the US, I guess the insurance companies are the owners of some of the big banks, including hedge funds, this and that. I guess I think we need to understand how the financial institutions, appeal to this discussion in a way. So meaning that we need to consider not only the banks, but also the capital market institutions, right? Brokers, investment banks, this and that. Also even the insurance companies, right? So putting this aside, I guess we also need to understand why we are discussing this topic. Because, well, crypto, Web3, these are sort of new things. And new things, new boys in the block. But apparently, these financial institutions, they are trying to embrace it. They are trying to sort of look out for the opportunities. Let us, give the discussion a hit here. And why are we discussing this? What is the opportunity as well as what is the challenge with the financial institutions when it comes to Web3?
So it's good what it's blue situation, like who is a financial institution, but in my opinion, all financial institutions, they have a core base of regulation. And in comparison to Web3, it's not regulated. Like it's democratic, not centralized, and everything is transparent. So if we are taking Web2 situation in Web3, but you understand who is doing what, and Web3, it's not centralized at all. So it's a different world. But I still believe that it's not the future. Web3 is not the future, just it's now what is changing. So dynamic now, because we see what every day we have new technology what coming into place. But Web3, for me, Web3, it's in the speed of adaptation. Now we just discussed it recently. It's around 1 billion of population already adopted crypto, using it at least. So the more people will continue to use it, and more people will use the crypto for the payment, saving, tokenization, and different kind of another usages. So it's the more it will come to, like it will transform itself from Web 2 to Web 3. But we still, maybe we still don't understand how it will work. Because if we remember the story of electricity, electricity was created for just bring the light to the homes. But now we understand what electricity is, just the infrastructure, what bringing to our homes everything. So the same blockchain, so it's, maybe we're just thinking what it will bring us the payments or transaction, but it will be a different usage. So we just will have a part of this blockchain ecosystem. I still don't know, but we have a lot of narratives.
So it's an interesting analogy, speaking about electricity. I guess the same thing we can also discuss about the transatlantic cable, right, between Europe and the US in the 19th century. It was built only for the communication in order to fasten that up. But apparently it also enabled the transaction, value chain and the whole money transfers and everything. So it was sort of a turning point for the financial services. And it was also transforming in a way. But when you say basically electricity, transforming Web2, Web3, is it really happening? Pınar, what do you think?
Yeah, it's actually interesting because I was actually thinking about, as you were talking about this Web3 being a different thing. I don't think it is like completely separate from how things have been evolving in financial services already. And sort of I have two perspectives, and I try to connect that with your point as well. One perspective is, I mean, decentralizing financial market infrastructure. We actually came up with a word for that, which is about 10 years ago, like DFMIs, and it's called Decentralized Financial Market Infrastructure. Was kind of like what was talked about for a long time after the financial crisis, because it became quite clear that we started creating these entities which carry a lot of risk in the system, and we try to figure out how we can create this kind of a market structure where everything is a little bit more decentralized. Another point is we also spent a lot of time trying to create competition to monopolies in the marketplace as well. So all of these topics around creating these kind of like breaking down the silos, creating more like layers of decentralization was frankly talked about even without anybody talked about without Web3. Then we started talking about Web3 in the context of the whole internet, you know, like the kind of OG, what people call these days, crypto people way of thinking, talking about these things, because it actually came very handy at that time, this, where you know, this technology paradigm clearly is going to help create these decentralized vision that we all have and had, and I think that's the future of financial services, really. And I mean, I'm not saying that's decentralizing everything to the end, because decentralization is a spectrum, I believe, rather than a kind of a like a 1 or 0 endpoint. But then I think there is a kind of a very natural selection that has been happening because of the way that our markets and the purpose of our markets have been evolving. And there's a second perspective, which is, you know, talking about the needs of the individuals, all these digital, like, I mean, we came from stock markets and institutional services, but frankly, all of these, like the generational change, the needs of the, like the more younger generation, wanting to kind of participate in these new ideas and new ways of investing, new ways of thinking about the world, and they are gaming and this and that. Like all of these things are pretty real. Also, our clients in this new decentralized world that was emerging because of necessity, it also started changing. The end clients are changing. So I think this is all pretty connected to me, and we are building the future with a Web3 ethos on Web2. You know, Web2 is reimagining Web2 with Web3 ethos, I think.
I think it was a great add-up, by the way, to what Renat said. But two interesting highlights. Evolution versus transformation, right? Evolution is sort of this progressive but quite passive concept. But transformation of something is basically someone dictates something to a particular setup. So these are two different things. I remember the times when we had this second hype of the crypto landscape. I think it was back in 2017, 18. There were some startups. They had this claim that they would be able to change the entire landscape of banking. We are going to reform and democratize the financial services, starting with banks. It didn't happen because, again, it is a process, right? Maybe they will, in a way, but not today. It doesn't happen that way. So my point is that it's an elephant in the room, but I don't know how big that elephant is. So, Johan, what would you say about that?
You are not elephant.
So, maybe just to kind of clarify first, financial institutions is just one of the businesses which are affected by blockchain. And I think the impact on society will much bigger be on other segments as well. Right? Finance is just one thing. On the finance side, you have one is crypto assets as an investment case. The other one is blockchain. Crypto is real. Bitcoin is real. It's something you can do now. Blockchain will take some time. We're doing some blockchain projects as well. We are launching the issuance of tokens, of securities, of bonds and so on the blockchain, on public blockchain. Remember a few years ago when we were all talking, the banks were talking about private chains. I think that's gone. You're still, or you have been a part of R3, but...
No, don't. I respond.
But the future is public chain. And there, really the success and the implementation on a wide basis will take a few years. My bet is another 5 to 10 years at least. On the crypto side, we see a lot of demand from banks who say, okay, our clients already trading crypto, they're interested in Bitcoin, and we could, that's a real business case where we can make money in it, not just invest into something, but we are already covering a lot of asset classes for the client, so crypto, Bitcoin is just another one, and we offer that as well. So this is something which is more tangible, and in the past, especially 3 years after 21, after the last boom, we saw a lot of banks saying, oh, no crypto, but blockchain. Now it's turning again. Most of the banks, in my opinion, have done some proof of concepts on tokenization, but they realize, okay, what's next? Everyone is asking, what's next? Where's the big business case? So they're moving back to crypto and saying, okay, you know, if we can book Bitcoin for our clients, we're technically ready to book as well a tokenized share, in-game asset, some equipment from a game for the client, because the banks still have the trust of the client to safekeep assets. So in regards to revolution versus evolution, maybe Bitcoin, from a conceptual standpoint, it's more a revolution, but at the same time, from the services bank provide, it's an evolution. Right? There's still custody of a new asset class.
Okay, so can I?
I also have a point.
Sorry about that. Okay, so like my point is, first of all, I genuinely do not think that there's a big difference between. I never like this. I like Bitcoin, but I don't like blockchain or this or that conversations, because I think we really need to move forward from that one as well. Because I mean, frankly, none of these things are. I mean, these are all part of again like a whole. Like infrastructure, market structure, sometimes investing and so forth. It's just literally, it's really very liberating to move away from those, I think, labels. The same, another label I think we need to move away from, frankly, is, again, private versus public or this or that. I mean, I also have been saying that this is, I mean, we came up with these kind of ways of speaking, frankly, to express what we are doing to the audience at that time who really needed to understand, okay, who can do what, that kind of stuff. But I think now, it has been 10 years, I mean, even more so for many people. And so we can then now talk about like real, what is it that we are doing with this type of chain or that kind of chain, or which this asset versus, you know, the underlying blockchain. We need to talk a little bit more specific things around, you know, for example, is it permissions that we are talking about, like permissionless, or like who can do what, who can see what. Those kind of things, I think, are the type of things that we need to be more surgical about. And I think this could becoming hopefully it will become a more architecture conversation at some point, as opposed to I like this versus that conversation. That's where I stand. Sorry.
Any contrary?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. One comment: we are still young. And checking the audience, everybody are young, and we understand that we will live at least till 100 years, so we have many years to live, and for sure these changes will be important also for us. But what is important to say, that you mentioned public chains, but it's public networks more, like the public networks what will change the world. You are from the big banks, yes, of the stock exchange, etc. So, but the current problem in the world, what the big tech, like Google, Facebook, Amazon, and like big guys, and the big banks, like European and Americans, they're controlling the money and they're controlling their own public, corporate public networks. And it needs to be changed, and with blockchain technology, it can bring us the ownership, what any individual will own, what he will have on the blockchain, on the network, is with the future. How it will be, we still don't know. Maybe everybody will have blockchain identification number or something, and we will control all our actions, and we'll have a possibility to sell part of our data to everybody who can be interested, and not as it's done by Google now, because they are taking everything from us. It can be very revolutionary in that situation.
Absolutely agree, and I think the term decentralization doesn't mean that there can be no Google who's using our data, or an FMI, right, an exchange. I believe markets are better or more efficient if you have one large exchange. If everyone is trading there, you have the deepest order books, and you get the best price.
But important, what nobody is controlling it. It's controlled by everybody. We as a Bitcoin, Bitcoin network is working now as in this format, and also Ethereum. I don't know everybody else. I know, but it's
no, on the chain, absolutely. That's exactly my point. Decentralization needs to be the base layer needs to be decentralized or permissionless. That I have the opportunity, the chance to withdraw my data or my assets to myself, but I can give it as well to a bank. If I don't feel safe holding my Bitcoins, then I give it to a bank who is specialized in that, right? But I always have a chance to transfer it to Turkey or to Germany or to the US, whatever I like. And that's the beauty of the underlying chain, in my opinion.
So I have this feeling that we are a bit swaying away from the very concept of the discussion. We had this roundtable.
But it's like
the topic was about MiCA regulation in Europe.
Okay.
So the discussants ended up discussing about labor market in the US. So let's try to put things in a context here, because apparently there are lots of philosophical dimensions that we can take up in this discussion, which is quite fancy, in a way sexy. But we can do that, I guess, infinitely. But let's also look into the practicalities, the opportunities in the market, because I know, Pınar, that you have this quite diverse background with the financial institutions too, and you only very recently left JP Morgan. I know that you are not here on behalf of JP Morgan, but perhaps you can give us some sort of feedback as an outsider based on the publicly available information. What are the banks trying to do? Because JP Morgan has this sort of contradicting policies from an outsider point of view again. How did they take up this opportunity in the market?
I think this is not about like one firm. I think the industry now is trying to figure out its like how to really connect the dots between the traditional ways of thinking and the processes and products, like the way you do custody, the way you do payments, and so forth, with the new ethos, like how do you program money, and how do you then bring, frankly, more like tokenized securities involved, and also even further, bring kind of what I call the innovators. Not necessarily like challengers, you call it innovators, challengers, DeFi world, whatever, like the people who actually can go and spun off a kind of a new product on demand, just like that, on a new network, and just create some interesting ideas. And I think that is actually very attractive. It's it's definitely getting recognized. It was recognized probably with the AMM idea with Uniswap at that point. People are beginning to see that there are, oh my God, there are these interesting things going on, happening outside of traditional world. How do we actually get access to that? And there is, I think we are in that intersection to try to figure that out. That's my observation.
It's sort of a transition or intersection? Where exactly?
I think that there is the transition is the intersection is there is the traditional finance, which is on the regulated rails and huge distribution potential, and you have these like crypto, DeFi, challenger, new innovators, you call them, who are on this side. They are actually coming up with interesting things, but their world is honestly not that big yet, and we always hoped that it would have been bigger, but it's not. So I think that whole connection, that's the intersection. Transition is how do you actually really connect those two, and in a way that makes sense. And then I think that's where we are right now.
So Jan, intersection, transition, so how do you enable the FIs in this respect?
Yeah, so I think the banks or traditional financial institutions really need to better understand and learn about the technology, and that you cannot just apply traditional laws like ALM, KYC to the new world. So we are spending a lot of time educating compliance, legal, regulatory departments of banks what that means, what are new opportunities, new ways how you can solve the same one or even can solve it better because of the traceability, because of the blockchain analytic tools where you see that money or tokens which left your custody went somewhere else and then comes back. Right now you only see the bank where you sent it to and not what happened afterwards. Now in the future you see, we sent it to the client's wallet, he had it there for a year, and then after a year he brought it back. Super amazing. And normally the banks or compliance people who are not that advanced in that technology, they say, it's only used for money laundering and blah, blah, blah. And then afterwards they're super excited to understand when they played around with some of the tools that, it is super transparent, that helps us to do our job right? So I think it's a transition where we have to bring those two parties together. I don't think it's a clash of culture. Maybe initially it was. Now you have more experienced people on the crypto side who speak the finance language, and on the banking side who speak the tech language. So it is starting to really get along very well, where they understand each other.
Okay. So, so you are from the field, and you talk to the startups. Some of them are basically trying to get some of the bank's advice as in terms of their clientele. So you also get to hear a lot from the market. What is going on?
Yeah, my feeling is we're still between, for sure. So Web2, Web3, but we see very interesting signs of adaptation and use cases. I think from point of view of the crypto payment acceptance, what is happening online, so more and more merchants are trying to use the crypto payment because it's easier, it's less cheaper, it's more effective, and you can check it. So for point of view of regulation, it can be done very effectively, and still it's not a lot of use, but it will more and more, it will create more and more volumes. It will be interesting at some point of time when somebody who is making transaction online, he will just have a wallet and he will have a possibility to pay it for everything what he has, online or offline. So this transition is already happening. But I also have the idea, what I know, what a lot of things people are working with, it's insurance. Because insurance can be on the public chain. You can insure the specific risk and to do it with all community. And it can be the game changer for all insurance industry.
Okay.
It can be very interesting. But
so 2 minutes ago, about your futuristic views, right, for the next decade. So there's this transition. We are going there. But where exactly are we going in 10 years from today? Jan, what would you, say if you are given this opportunity that in 10 years from today, the banks will look like this? Because the banks today, they don't look like what they used to be 10 years ago. Right?
Banks or?
Financial institutions. It's not easy. Yeah. Perhaps we can start with the banks.
Or public chain.
Okay, banks.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, good.
It's a broader discussion otherwise. Yeah.
It always takes longer than you anticipate. The banks haven't changed that much in the last 10 years, maybe in the last 20 years. Yeah, we have the e-banking, and with the fall of Credit Suisse, we have seen what has changed, where instead of having to queue in front of a branch to get your money out, we just take our phone, swipe, and the money is gone. So it creates completely new challenges for banks. But what I am pretty certain of is that we will not talk about tokenization anymore. It's just, right now, in the past, we had physical shares, bonds, and so on. Now it's dematerialized. It's just booked in an account in my bank. In the future, it will be decentralized. It's a new approach. It's a new technology. But I think the most interesting thing is that, so we see an explosion of tokenized assets. Everything will become tokenized. Does it change anything for the client? partially, yes, it's still a share of something, of a company in your account. But you can transfer it out, you can keep it, you can transfer it to a different bank, you will have new service providers and so on. That's one thing, the biggest impact, I think, or the biggest difference. And then you're going to have more and more advanced crypto applications, from payments to insurance to
brokers,
physical goods, which are tokens which you can own, more startup, early stage, blah, blah, blah. So there's so many more of new investment opportunities which you haven't have right now.
So you don't expect to see significant changes for the infrastructure, but more through the services and processes, correct?
It's for the client, it shouldn't change a lot completely. I think they will still interact with banks, but they will see new opportunities, they will see new investment possibilities, they will have better, depends on the country, better payment rails. It's more instant, you can use it 24/7, which is not the case in some of the countries.
Okay. Renat, 30 seconds, please.
30 seconds. So I think it will be very transparent. So in 10 years, everybody, like any clients will be trackable. All his transactions will be understandable, and you're born, you start to make the money, and just you understand, the banks understand everything about you. It will be different world, because you don't need to keep always bureaucracy of compliance, and you just need to fight with criminal activities, nothing else.
But the question is how different it's going to be, right?
It will be very different.
All right. Very different
I
or
wish
not?
compliance will not be there, but I doubt.
Punar, you have the last word.
I believe in a world where like it's going to be more embedded finance, and it will be more like user experience to me. I should be able to invest in anything that I really like, enjoy. I mean, my son should be able to play around with the games and then collect these coins and do things with it. And so I believe in a world that's going to be completely like user experience of the end user, and the choices you have should be much different than it is today.
Well, thank you very much. It was a very exciting discussion, and I think we're right about the time. And thank you very much for your attention too. Thank you.
We should also thank